Hi everyone and welcome to the YouTube channel for My Classic Album. I'm Mike Norris and this is a channel dedicated to all things related to my podcast, My Classic Album with Mike Norris. Now, if you've stumbled on this and you've never heard the podcast, maybe you found this video by accident, My Classic Album is a monthly podcast and it's dedicated to the greatest albums of all time. So in the 6 or 7 months that we've been around, we've covered albums from the likes of the Beatles, Bob Dylan, the Smiths, and most recently Fleetwood Mac. We have a special guest on each show and I sit down with them. They choose the album that we're going to talk about, and together we try to piece why they love it so much, what's so great about it, and most importantly, why you should buy it or listen to it or check it out. And it has a really good response so far. If it's something that you would be interested in listening to, get yourself over to www.myclassicalbum.co.uk, or you can find us on iTunes. All you need to do is search for My Classic Album with Mike Norris if you've got an iPhone or an iPad or whatever. But don't worry if not, because we do have the website, as I say, and you can listen to that on your computer, on your phone, however you would choose to listen to it. So yeah, if you're new to this, I hope you do enjoy the podcast and check it out. If you're not, if you've heard the podcast before and you're here, well, thank you for listening and welcome to the YouTube channel. As you'll know, and as kind of newer people won't, this month's episode has been about Rumours by Fleetwood Mac. So we did a special episode dedicated to 40 years of Rumours on the 4th of February. The album was 40 years old. And we sat down with Neil O'Donoghue, who runs the Fleetwood Mac fan site Go Your Own Way. And we chatted about the album, the amazing story behind this album, and the iconic songs that are on it. And then I sat down with Ken Calais. Now, Ken Calais, along with Richard Dashut and the band, produced Rumours all those years ago. And Ken had a lot to say, some really interesting and funny stories at times about making this album. So if you're interested in what Ken had to say, there's actually a preview video here on the channel of one of the questions I asked him. But you can hear the whole interview and my interview with Neil at myclassicalbum.co.uk, 40 Years of Rumours, our special episode of My Classic Album. So as for next month's episode, usually at the end I announce what the next album's going to be for next month. But I've actually got so many interviews lined up for the next few weeks, I didn't know which one we'd get to first. So I should know by the end of the week, but I've got, like I say, 3 or 4 albums that 3 or 4 different guests I wanted to discuss. So I'll be sitting down with them over the next few weeks, and by the end of this week, I should be able to tell you what March's episode of My Classic Album is going to be. But rest assured, the albums that they've chosen are really cool. So we've got one which in some ways kind of is the blueprint of the idea of a singer-songwriter album. We've got one that was the fastest selling debut album for a British group in the UK. And we've got one that was one of the first albums ever to be, one of the first pop albums ever to be sold in the Soviet Union. So there's some really kind of strong albums over the next few months. And I really hope that you enjoy listening to the podcasts. One thing I do know regarding March's episode of My Classic Album is that I'm going to be reviewing Amy Macdonald's new album, Under Stars. So I've been a fan of Amy Macdonald for a long time. Her new album, as I say, is out on February 17th. So I pre-ordered it, should be here by then, and here on the YouTube channel I will review Under Stars. Hopefully on the day, maybe a couple of days after, give me a bit of time to listen to it a few times. And that'll get played on March's edition of My Classic Album as well as right here on the YouTube channel. So I just want to take the opportunity to thank everyone for their support. This channel is hopefully going to have more album reviews, gig reviews, previews of upcoming episodes, highlights from previous episodes. So if you're interested in the podcast and you like to see what's going on, by all means, I would love it if you subscribe to this page. And if you've discovered this and this all sounds awesome, I would love it if you went to Facebook and searched for My Classic Album with Mike Norris and liked the page. Then you'll never miss an episode because I'm on there all the time. We've also got an Instagram page, My Classic Album Podcast. Our Twitter's more your thing, at MCA_podcast. And I think that's pretty much all I wanted to say. So I'm going to leave it there. But thanks very much for listening to me warble on for a few minutes. And I do hope that you take the time to check out the podcast if you haven't already. And I'll see you all next week for the review of Amy Macdonald's new album. And then on March the 1st for the latest episode of My Classic Album. Cheers.